by Sky Vodka. Please drink responsibly.
Pardon the interruption, but I'm Mike Wilbon. Frank, police in Virginia have arrested a man who walked into an IHOP nude on Thanksgiving Day.
I'm Frank Isola. The good news, Kornheiser posted bail, says it's one big misunderstanding. He'll be back in the chair tomorrow.
You know what my takeaway is here? Why is IHOP open on Thanksgiving Day? How can you need pancakes in the morning if you're going to eat turkey and stuff yourself in the afternoon?
You ever have pancakes for dinner?
No.
It's like a dessert. It's good.
You've done that?
Once or twice. It's a nice meal. Come on, Mike.
Welcome to PTI with Tony off to sort through his legal difficulties. I'm happy to be joined for our good friend from the New York Daily News, Frank Isola.
Wow. That's the loudest it's ever been.
Wow, like Eli would love a cheer like that.
Exactly.
A day after the announcement that Eli Manning has been removed as the starting quarterback of the New York Giants, at least for now, there's a rush to put his career and his future into context. Manning is the franchise leader in completions, passing yards, passing touchdowns, 300-yard games, and Super Bowls won. Yet, there is talk that his next start will be for the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Broncos have been mentioned as well.
Yep.
Frank, do you see Eli finishing his career elsewhere?
Have you heard this is a big story in New York?
Yeah.
New Yorkers haven't reacted like this since they raised the toll at the George Washington Bridge to $15. The short answer is, I do think he's going to end his career still with the Giants. This is going to backfire famously for Ben McAdoo. I understand Jacksonville, the connection with Tom Coughlin. Denver makes a lot of sense. John Elway's always looking to win now. A few years ago, went out and got Eli's brother.
Yeah.
Worked pretty well. Peyton still lives there.
Frank.
But if Eli goes anywhere, he's going to a team with a winning tradition, Mike. A team like Denver, not Jacksonville.
He stays there. And I admit to just being a big cheerleader for Eli Manning and all these accomplishments.
Join the club.
The
Everybody
big
in New York
brother
is that way.
situation, and he won as many Super Bowls and for a while had more. And so I sort of like rooting for Eli.
Yep.
But does it dawn on anybody that Eli can't play anymore? I mean, last year and this year, Frank.
Sure about that?
I don't think he can, and I hope he can. I hope I'm wrong. And whether he goes to Jacksonville or Denver, to me, is sort of unimportant. Look, there's a couple of places you can fall either way on this. You can look like Joe Namath at the end, and you can look like John Unitas at the end, where you go somewhere and, oh, my God, you don't have it. But you can look like Favre or Big Brother Peyton or Joe Montana, who people forgot got to an AFC title game, or Kurt Warner, who got back to a Super Bowl at another team. I look at him, and I just think he's been hit a lot. He's played a lot. His career is fine, but maybe it's over.
You know, when you talk about Peyton going, at least the Colts had a plan B. They were bringing Andrew Luck.
That's right.
The Giants really don't have that. But you talk about him not having it anymore. The offensive line is terrible. And when you think about those skill positions, Odell Beckham, he's lost his entire receiving corps.
Yeah.
He's still good enough to win.
If he's surrounded by great players, you're saying.
And guess what? I think the coach goes. Right. I think the GM goes.
Yeah.
I think Eli's going to be back. And he should be.
People in New York are rooting for that, aren't they?
I'll tell you what, I've never seen the reaction like this before. Wow. Even from current and former players, the way that they've killed the Giants over.
How about that?
I know, interesting. All right, of course, with Eli demoted, Kirk Cousins now becomes the longest tenured starting quarterback in the NFC East. If you can believe that. The question, though, is for how long? The NFL Network reports the Redskins are using the final month to evaluate whether to resign Cousins, who would earn $34 million in 2018 under the franchise tag. That's a lot of money for a quarterback who is yet to win a playoff game. Do you think Washington's front office is hoping that Cousins will make this easier for them by playing poorly in the last 5 games?
There's only one thing for me to consider about the Redskins front office, and that is whether or not it is competent. I mean, we're talking about Kirk Cousins. I don't care who they're rooting for. I don't care whether they're rooting for him or against him.
They have a good quarterback, though.
Okay, they do have a good quarterback, but they don't seem to be able to translate that into a quarterback whose future is secured playing with them.
Yep.
And so I'm looking at a club that has been completely incompetent, that has been unable to sustain anything now for 20 years, Frank. Even when they brought the great Hall of Fame Joe Gibbs back, they couldn't mount anything then. So if I'm Cousins, I want to go. I realize they could keep him. But at this point, what makes me think they are good enough, smart enough, capable enough, understanding of talent to the degree that they can get any major decision right?
They have to be smart enough to know you could win with Kirk Cousins. You won a Super Bowl with Mark Rippon. You won a Super Bowl with Doug Williams. Good quarterbacks, not all-time legendary
That's right.
quarterbacks.
That's right.
Kirk Cousins is 29 years old. He's durable. He has started 44 games, including a playoff game. He's going to throw for 4,000 yards again. Look all over the NFL. What's the one position this season that is a glaring weakness for a lot of teams?
Frank, I'm going to agree with you. I'll raise you. I think Kirk Cousins is a top 10 quarterback right now.
Then what would be the decision to make?
Once again, we're talking about decisions. Players don't make them, particularly in this league. You can't even force front offices to make them. Front offices hold all the power, whether or not they have the intellect to do so.
If you're Kirk Cousins, are you thinking to yourself, everything that I've done so far, we're really based on these last 5 games?
How stupid is that? That tells you you've had a guy for 3 years as your starter, and you want to condense what he's doing to 5 games. They're not smart, Frank.
That's ridiculous.
And look, I've been talking all year in this seat about how the NFL has coaches and front office people making one stupid decision after another.
You think the Browns would go after him? Maybe the Giants. Just take the Acela.
Free agent. I don't
or fly first class like Mike Wilbon. Take that. There you go.
Let's get to the college football playoff rankings. Clemson, Auburn, Oklahoma, Wisconsin. Those are your top 4. Alabama was booted down to 5th after losing. Georgia, Miami, Ohio State are 6, 7, 8. With the committee saying very little separates them from Bama at 5. Auburn is the first team in the 4-year history of this thing to be ranked in the top 4 with 2 losses. So let's cut to the chase, Frank. Do you expect this top 4, to hold up and be the top 4 this time next week?
No, I don't. And history says it won't be. And I feel badly for Auburn because they beat Georgia. They've beaten Alabama. But think about what they've done. You win this great game on Saturday. Now you have to turn around a week later and you have to beat Georgia for the second time. And Auburn is banged up. I see them falling out. Georgia moves in.
They shouldn't have lost 2 in the regular season.
I understand that. But they do think about those 2 wins, though. Georgia and Alabama. And I think what's going to happen is Ohio State is going to beat Wisconsin. And Ohio State's going to scream from the mountaintop, we deserve to be in there. Yeah. And Nick Saban's going to say, guess what? You didn't play in the Big Ten championship game last year, and you got in. We're getting in this year. I think it's going to be Alabama, and I think Georgia will both be in.
My question, though, is if Clemson loses to Miami,
do they stay in the top 4?
Yeah, and we better not have 2 ACC teams. I realize it's sort of top-heavy, but I don't want 2 ACC teams. The conference ain't good enough.
Does the committee show respect to a defending champion? But they did lose at Syracuse on a Friday night when no one was paying attention.
In past years, I have said yes as an answer to that question. I think we're going to have 2 or 3 of those teams lose. Suppose Oklahoma loses to TCU. We're talking about teams
Alabama
playing themselves out, right? But then Wisconsin and Clemson could win, and then what happens? So I think I'm rooting so hard for Wisconsin because I think they've been wronged by the committee for most of the voting year. But I think they're going to lose to Ohio State.
Yeah, and that's the thing. At least Wisconsin now can play themselves into it. Alabama is just like Ohio State last year. Fine. You get to sit at home and rest while everyone else is knocking themselves out to get in.
That could help you if you get into the 4.
They're at 5. They're going to get in there somehow. If there's one loss, they're going to get in there.
So in other words, there's no way all 4 of those teams can win, in your opinion.
No. It's not going to. It's too tough for Auburn, and they've been great, but it's a tough turnaround. All right, on to the NBA now. It took until game number 1,082 for LeBron James to receive his first career ejection. It's kind of like the Halley's Comet of the NBA. Referee Kane Fitzgerald, remember that name, ejected LeBron in the 3rd quarter of Tuesday's win over Miami after LeBron overreacted to a non-call. And, of course, he used a few choice words. Afterwards, LeBron complained that he doesn't get enough calls despite, quote, being as fouled as much as everybody. All right, Michael, is he being officiated differently? And will speaking up change things?
Well, speaking up tends to change things when you're a superstar in the NBA. I don't think this is a big deal, LeBron getting kicked out. So what?
He earned it.
He did. He did scream whatever he screamed at him, and he charged at him, and I don't even have any problem with that. Yeah. And so what? This is basketball. LeBron is as competitive as anybody's ever been. Fine. He got kicked out of the game. So what? Now, let's talk about how he's officiated. Is it unfair? Unfair says to me there's an agenda. I don't see an agenda. No. It's like Shaq. They're so big and strong and fast and impenetrable that it's more difficult to officiate them. And I'll throw another factor in. I think fewer guys are willing to get up on LeBron and foul him.
They're not going to take a charge.
They're not going to take a charge, and they don't get up on him because they can't catch him. They can't stay in front of him. He's too good. And so does LeBron have fewer fouls on him than he should? Yes. But, he's got some other advantages, too. Superstars in the NBA always do.
Here's the genius of LeBron James. The Cavs last night won their 9th straight game. Nobody's talking about that. His boy Kevin Love scored 38 points. Nobody's talking about that. LeBron got kicked out, 1:59 left in the third quarter. He goes back in the locker room. In real time, it's probably an hour before he meets with the media. And calmly, and he's used the time in a very wise way, he carefully paints the picture that I'm a guy that's a physical player. I'm not a jump shooter. I get fouled.
They're turning me into a jump shooter, which was brilliant.
Yep. And then he knows that the Cleveland media, including our boy from ESPN, Dave McMenamin, they're going to look at the stats and they're going to find out he's averaging 5.3 free throws per game. It's a career low. When LeBron sees Dave McMenamin say, he's going to say, thank you, you knew where I was going. LeBron is smart. He's a very smart player. When instead of complaining about the referees, he's pointing out, listen, guys, I'm getting fouled. It's just not being
the best thing about this for Cleveland, as T. Lou pointed out later, helps regulate his minutes.
Yeah.
LeBron always plays more minutes than he agrees to play. He's supposed to reduce the minutes. He doesn't because he's LeBron. He wants to play. This reduces
Monday night, 31 minutes. Last night, 28 for him.
That's two pretty good nights, back to back. NFL players are expected to discuss during a conference call Wednesday night a proposal from the league and its owners that will contribute nearly $100 million to fund causes considered critically important to the African-American communities in the context of affecting social change. But some players, according to reporting by Jim Trotter and Jason Reed, are displeased with the league's approach and want to break with the Players Coalition, the group of approximately 40 players that has negotiated with the league office. Frank, do you think this is an offer the players should accept?
Yes, I do. Now, number one, you're never going to make everybody happy. And I understand that the NFL, they have a printing machine there on Fifth Avenue. They are printing money, despite the ratings and everything else. It's $100 million. They are in the entertainment business. Those games on Sunday, Monday, Thursday, those are television shows. That's what they're in the business of doing. They're not supposed to be out there being social justice warriors. But in this case, the players spoke. They wanted action from the league, and the league is responding with $100 million. To me, that's a pretty good start. And I think the players got what they wanted. They got the attention of the league. Is it a PR move by the league? Yeah, it is. The NBA does it all the time. Smart move by the league, and the players should accept this.
I don't disagree with a word of that, except the players should accept it only, and I'm going to disagree in this way. There shouldn't be an offer from the league. What do we, money, if it's all it's being is quantified, $100 million? So how does $100 million, there is no number that's good.
You got to start somewhere.
No, you don't. And here's what's great. The NFL invoked the NBA, not understanding, as usual, the NBA has players who are large enough to affect change by simply talking. The NFL has no such players who can do that on as grand a stage by talking. But if you want to call attention, and that is what is needed, attention and discussion. I understand money helps facilitate everything. I'm never turning down money. But if all they're going to do is they think they can buy their way to social change, can they buy back the lives of the young men who've been gunned down in our communities? No, they can't.
But they're trying to start somewhere. Again, Michael, 5 years ago, we weren't talking CTE. We weren't talking about this.
I know.
At least it's something.
Frank, and I don't want to sort of step away from possible gains. I'm going to give you that. All I'm saying is if you're just going to sell the discussion rights, which is essentially what we're talking about here, then does that address what Colin Kaepernick wanted initially? I don't know.
It's still $100 million. It's a start.
And you know what? Every time I go back,
the players, they said the players need to do something. The players did something. The league responded.
And I go back like you do. Every time I say, wait a minute, you can't turn down $100 million. It's seed money, perhaps, to do something. But man, I don't want to see it just sold like rights fees. I don't. Let's take a break. But coming up, Jimmy Garoppolo will start for the 49ers on Sunday. How should he feel about facing the Bears? It's time to fill in some blanks in What's the Word? Let's get the first one from the producer over the loudspeaker.
Jimmy Garoppolo should be blank about facing the Bears in his first start for the Niners.
He should be relieved, Frank. He's playing one of the worst teams in the league. Now, I know the Bears' defense is a lot better than the rest of the team. You know, I think in points allowed, there's something like 15th. I think in yards allowed, there's something like 12th. So they're in the top half of the league, but it's still the Bears. They're going to cough the ball up and give you field position. They'll make a bad play on special teams and give you field position. So Garoppolo should be in good shape here.
What do you know about the Bears? He should be, the word is, a little nervous.
Why?
I get it, it's his job, but when he made his first career start, He's filling in for Tom Brady. He knows eventually that job is going to go back to Brady. This is it. This is the Garoppolo era. It's starting on Sunday.
Could go back to,
and you're not playing but you're not playing for the New England Patriots. That's not Belichick. That's not that system.
A homecoming opponent, one team that's turning into.
We'll see.
What's next?
Steph Curry versus Lonzo Ball is a blank matchup tonight.
My word is hopefully merciful. And that is because if Steph Curry had in the front of his mind the words from LeVar Ball, when LeVar Ball before the season said, my kid's better than Steph Curry.
That's right.
Steph Curry could go out there and just decide to torch Lonzo Ball, who's already got to be a little bit down. But I don't think he's going to do that. Hopefully merciful. You don't need to see him score 50 on Ball because he could.
And by the way, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, very kind to Lonzo Ball.
They have been.
Able to be patient. I think it's going to be a matchup as an MISS, which is what Lonzo Ball does all the time. Right now, the poor kid shooting 30.9%. That's the second worst field goal percentage in a player's first 20 games.
It's up from what it was
in the shot clock year.
It's up from last week, right?
How many misses for Lonzo Ball? Will it be like 1 of 7?
13.
How many makes for Steph Curry? 13 of 20?
Curry got a lot of makes. A lot of makes. What's next?
The Clippers would be blank to trade DeAndre Jordan.
Frank, the Clippers would be futuristic to trade DeAndre Jordan. It looks like it's time. Look, I know that if Blake Griffin comes back, you could have Griffin and DeAndre Jordan for the playoffs if they made the playoffs. But we've seen that act before. It doesn't work. And you don't even have Chris Paul to help it work, even though Chris Paul was injured the last couple of playoffs a lot of that time. But futuristic, they need to get younger. They need to start over probably since Blake Griffin is out. Futuristic.
You are being panicky. That's what they would be.
I am.
You, Lawrence Frank, and Doc Rivers. Right now, Gallinari is out, injured. I get it. He's injured all the time. But they did bring in the kid from Europe, Milos Teodosic, the point guard, who is a terrific player.
He's pretty good.
DeAndre Jordan's only 29. You're fine with him. Blake Griffin is coming back at some point. This season might be a wash.
Can you get a start? Can you get an all-star and another rotation player back for DeAndre? Because if you can, I'm not blaming this on DeAndre. I'm just saying it's not working.
How about DeAndre Jordan to Cleveland for Tristan Thompson and something
I've heard that one. I thought that was reasonable, right? What's next?
Last one. Tiger Woods will blank tomorrow.
Tiger Woods in his return to golf tomorrow will titillate. We're all going to be excited. I presume the Golf Channel. I'm going on. I want to see if I have to go online. I want to see what Tiger does. I want to see what he's wearing. I want to see if he can hit the driver. I want to see if he can make a chip shot without flubbing it like me, which he couldn't do the last time out. I want to see Tiger Woods. He's going to titillate everybody.
You're a big shot. I'm surprised you're not down there in the Bahamas. I think it's going to be survive, which is now the key for Tiger Woods. Survive tomorrow.
It is.
Be pain-free Saturday and Sunday. By the way, Jeff Benedict, Armin Catane, coming out with a book. Big book on Tiger Woods about the family, his history.
Does anybody want that now?
But guess what, though? They're supposedly going to address some of the PED stuff, which Tiger has denied. They claim they might have some revelations.
You know what Kornheiser is today? He's wearing red on the golf course.
Getting ready for the big game.
He's so psyched up and psyched out of his mind about Tiger's return.
He's already
a
pro. He actually did well in the pro.
Very titillated. That's it. We have no more words. Let's take one last break. But still to come, Mike Gundy pulls himself out of the running for the Tennessee job. Where should that school turn now?
Coming up on SportsCenter at 6, we'll preview tonight's Big Ten ACC Challenge with the excitable Dick Vitale as North Carolina faces Michigan for the first time since this infamous timeout nearly 25 years ago. Join us at 6.
Pardon the interruption is presented by Sky Vodka. Make every day. Please drink responsibly. Part of Happy Hour.
Did you see our loss last night to Georgia Tech at the buzzer? I have to say our now. You're a parent. You know, you felt it, right?
Of course.
Happy time, people. Happy 29th birthday, Russell Wilson. That's sneaky old for one of the NFL's best quarterbacks. The Seahawks used to be a defense-first team, led by Sherman and Chancellor and the Legion of Boom. But whatever hopes they have this year are tied to the right arm and the churning legs of Wilson, who gets a nice little matchup with Carson Wentz Sunday night.
It's a good game. Meanwhile, you'd have 2 Super Bowls if you would have handed the ball off to Marshawn Lynch.
That's right. You have a second one. Put him back-to-back, too. Happy anniversary of Amari Cooper. On this day 3 years ago, Cooper had 224 receiving yards and 3 touchdowns to lead Alabama to a comeback win over Auburn in the highest-scoring Iron Bowl ever. The revelation here, to me, is that Cooper's been in the NFL only 3 seasons. Injuries may keep him from a 3rd consecutive 1,000-yard season, but he's having a pretty good career as a pro.
You know what? Another one of those talented players at Oakland. What happened to Oakland this year? quarterback out.
But you know what? Now they're coming up because Kansas City's come back to the field.
Division
the
stinks.
Raiders aren't out of it. They really aren't. The Broncos are, but the Raiders aren't. Happy trails to the idea of Mike Gundy leaving Oklahoma State for Tennessee. Talks between the two went nowhere, and the OSU alum tweeted that he'd like to be a, quote, cowboy for life, close quote. Frank, wouldn't that have been a bad move for both parties?
I think it would have been a good move. I like his haircut, but is he kidding me? Cowboy for life? Why did you get on a plane to go talk to the folks at Tennessee? When did he decide he's a cowboy for life?
No errors today. Don't go to Dallas on Frank Time. We run out of show. Let's go to the big finish. Boston Hero reports Brady missed practice today. Took a beating on Sunday. Big deal.
40 years old. It's always a big deal. He'll be fine. Herm Edwards will interview for the Arizona State job. Good fit.
Herm, I got good golf out there. Seriously. David Robinson says Duke's Marvin Bagley III reminds him a little of Tim Duncan. You agree?
A lefty Tim Duncan? I know that he's a good player, though. Your boy, Nikola Mirotic, accepted Bobby Portis' apology for their fight. Are you surprised?
Get Mirotic out. Last one. Grizzlies can lose their 9th in a row tonight to the Spurs. Will that happen?
It will. Take that for dad. What they did to Fizdale was wrong. We're out of time.
Bad.